Hold it close to your
We must challenge these NHS reforms. They affect the commissioning of patient care and accountability, and the primary care trusts have done a pretty good job so far, and the future of education and doctors and other health professions is at risk. Okay? The PCTs are to be abolished, with the power of commission going to the GPs, but that's not all of it. What you need to do is to get onto the internet, just put in NHS reforms and just see what they're going to do. Every bit of the NHS is going to be affected. There's going to be an encouragement for competition, and with competition that might mean driving, if you like, patient prices down, and it'll increase the postcode. Last year, Cameron said that he wouldn't touch the health service. He said there's an endless reorganisations, and yet here we have the coalition, and Clegg and the Liberals, they said they wouldn't support it either, and there they are reneging on it, okay? The GPs are going to be responsible for an extra 80 billion, I beg your pardon, pounds. And there's other economies that could be made in the health service. We could reduce waste. We could make sure that, these consultations don't go ahead, that cost a lot of money and come up with no results. We could actually make sure that we buy medicines, and yet pharmacists have never been consulted over these reforms, and that's where the big bills are, okay? The reforms undermine the fundamental principles of the NHS. I mean, those of you that are of an age will remember that the NHS there was no NHS. You paid 2 and 6 for a district nurse to come. You paid a guinea, which was 21 shillings, which doesn't sound a lot now, but considering wages were £2 a week, it was a great deal of money. On the eve of the 4th of July 1948, the district nurses burnt all the bills, because they knew people couldn't afford them. And we don't want to go back to that again, okay? The reforms invite competition, as I've said. They increase postcode lottery, and remember, we get very good value out of the NHS. We spend less gross national product on our NHS than many other nations in the world. And I think we should realise it's good value. Our union, the Royal College of Nursing, has resisted the cuts to frontline services for over a year now, and we're still reeling from the prospect of this ill-informed bill. Andrew Lansley came to our Congress at Liverpool, and he wouldn't face the Congress. He spoke to 60 people on a listening exercise, and there was immediately a vote of no confidence in him and the government. My friends, Congress was appalled at his behaviour. These reforms will not benefit all patients. They will depend on the GPs balancing the budget in their commissioning role. If GPs wanted to control finance, they should have been accountants. We're justly proud of the NHS and the care that GPs give to patients, but these reforms are a step too far. The government's created a pause in the bill for a body called the NHS Future Forum to have a listening exercise. They had a listening exercise in the south day before yesterday, 40 people, and the person presenting it didn't get past the first page because there was such a furore about it. This listening exercise focuses on 4 main aspects: accountability in patients, choice and competition, which is rubbish. You know, you can't run the health service like some competitive baked bean factory. Advice and leadership is there. And education, they're going to get rid of the deans in the universities, and the GMC will have less of a chance to organise medical training. And what that will mean is a reduction in standards. And the health education people that are going to take it over, we don't know what their plans are. This is terrible, it's diabolical. It's actually high on rhetoric and low on detail. So do get onto the internet. We were told at the RCN to sit and wait and see. Well, we've sat, we've waited, we've seen, and we don't like what we're seeing. Nurses will not strike because it affects patient care, but we'll do our damnedest to see that this bill does not get through Parliament. So, how long does it take? Write to your MP, put down what your criticisms are, and tell him you do not accept this. The NHS must not be undermined in this way. Thank you for listening.
up, we've got a friend and colleague from the hospital, Dr. Smale. Thank you, Dr. Smale. I'll press it for you.
Thanks for asking me to talk. High quality healthcare for everyone in our society is a privilege which few communities on our planet can afford. Nevertheless, it is a privilege worthy of defence. High quality healthcare, free to all at the point of delivery, is something our forebears held dear, and I believe something we should not discard. But I recognise resources are limited. I recognise money doesn't grow on trees. I'm not completely stupid. We recognise the need for modernisation and change, and the health community has undergone a huge amount of change over the recent decades. We have embraced a huge amount of change. But I would just have a few words of caution for those leading change at present. Don't hide from the difficult choices around healthcare funding in a passage of ill-conceived reforms. Have the difficult discussions. Don't attempt, as I believe some might be trying to do, to devolve liability for healthcare funding to GPs. Have the discussion with us about how much we want to spend. Do not attempt to shift responsibility for rationing away from the Treasury. Have the discussion with the users, our communities, about how they might want things to be. Don't attempt to blame those who would provide or use our healthcare for the fact that there are difficult choices. Have the discussion with the providers and the taxpayers about how we develop ways of making better and more effective choices. Don't abandon the current structure just to reappoint the same people in a different role. Don't reshape organisations just so that you can put a shiny new badge on the same old banger. We have a great NHS. Do not avoid the difficult discussions, because some discussions will be difficult, but you may be surprised by the outcome of those discussions. Don't change because you have to be seen to be doing. Don't just impose futile alterations that waste yet more money, but do talk, do think, do act, do change, but be honest, be open, have the difficult discussions, and yes, make difficult choices on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you.